I experience a problem, and indeed it is a wide problem, in getting into debates and doing interviews and discussions about infant circumcision, which is that the proponents and defenders of infant circumcision will constantly cite American medical opinion in the AAP, the American Academy of Pediatrics, or the World Health Organization, or the Centers for Disease Control positions on infant circumcision. Okay, this is almost cartoonish. It is an appeal to improper authority. Number one, it is a fallacy. It is a logical fallacy. It is an appeal to improper authority. You are asking the perpetrators of genital mutilation what their opinion on the genital mutilation is. I mean, that's, I guess, a simple way of saying it. That's a way you could dispel it. One of the sort of snide ways I've sometimes dispelled it is saying, well, asking an American doctor about infant circumcision is like asking Jeffrey Dahmer his opinion on kidnapping, raping, killing, and eating children. It's sort of a tongue-in-cheek way, but I mean, this is how debates are won. These one-liners are how debates are often won, unfortunately. But if you're good at coming up with them, that's a good thing. But it needs to be constantly. This has to be an active component of the debate. We have to do this, and particularly during interviews. This can happen during interviews. It can happen when a news station interviews an intactivist, but then separately later goes and interviews one of these genital mutilators at the local hospital. You almost have to head this off. You have to say, you know what? Why don't you go ask a pediatrician from any other part of the world? Why don't you go ask a pediatrician from Europe, where all of the sexual health metrics and overall health and well-being metrics are much higher than in the United States, and ask them their position on infant circumcision? Because they don't consider it even medicine. They consider it to be a form of genital mutilation. They acknowledge the physical integrity violation. It's such this, ooh, but the AAP, ooh, but the, it is such a circular argument. It is such a reflexive feedback loop. This is a never-ending feedback loop. If this is the framework you're working within, then nothing could ever be wrong. Nothing could ever be wrong. You would get nowhere. You have to call these people on it and point this out. And we have to keep in mind, this sort of goes hand in hand with this sort of meme of it's impossible for the medical field to ever commit a human rights violation. Sterilization, euthanasia, electroshock therapy of homosexuals, insulin shock therapy, female circumcision. I always feel the need to run through some of these. And we have to keep in mind it's so fascinating. We have to keep in mind, none of these things were dealt with by the medical field. Remember this. The medical field did not stop pathologizing homosexuals until homosexuals started organizing for their rights explicitly. It did not come from within the medical community. Female circumcision, which was covered by Blue Cross Blue Shield up until 1977 and legal until 1996 or 97, was not dealt with by the medical community. It was dealt with by an organized feminist and anti-FGM campaign that was outside of the medical community, that came charging in and saying, this is wrong. Of course, throwing boys under the bus while doing it. But that is how it ended up having to happen. The medical field did not do it. I mean, of course, you'll never hear this from them. They'll act as if, Oceania has never been at war with Eastasia. Oceania has always been at war with Eastasia. A little line from 1984. You'd never know that the medical field was engaged in female circumcision. All the way up till, literally at this very moment that this video is being made and published in mid-late October of 2017, we are just now, I'm just right now seeing a flurry of articles and activity and agitation on the parts of the LGBT community in regards to intersex normalization surgeries. Genital mutilations is what they are. We're just now seeing the LGBT community start to bite into the medical community. It's just now starting to bite. And we're seeing a flurry of activity. But the medical community is not being terribly helpful in this. Many of them are in total denial. Their behavior is disgusting, just as disgusting as it is in terms of in terms of male circumcision. Just their total dismissal of the physical integrity of these children, and the claim that many of them are many of the victims of these intersex normalization surgeries, which, let's be clear here, these intersex people, they developed as well as possibly they could have in utero. And then they are born, and these doctors they're going to sacrifice what neurological and anatomical function they have in their genitals for what is in fact the psychological benefit of the parents. Which is really not all that different from male circumcision. It's almost identical to it in that regard. But we're just now seeing this. It's sort of cartoonish. You've got something that affects like 1.2 or 1.7 we've dealt with female circumcision, female genital mutilation, which could in theory affect half the population. We're now being told that we have to deal with intersex people and the genital mutilations here, which make up 1.2 to 1.7% of the population. It's like, are we ever going to get around to protecting boys from genital mutilation? Anyway, I've sort of digressed here. I've gone a bit far afield from the original topic, but the clincher in the circumcision debate, by the nature of the debate, is not going to come from within the medical community, and it's not going to be medical in nature. It is going to be fundamentally human rights. The right to physical integrity. Girls have it. We're being told intersex people need to have it. Well, God damn it, we are supposed to live in an equal society, and boys have every right to physical integrity too. Tell me what you guys think. You have to, when you're debating circumcision, you have to break out of this infinite feedback loop and call these people out on the fact that the answer to no other human rights violation committed by the medical community ever came from within the medical community. It came from outside of it, and the answer to circumcision is going to come from outside the medical community too. Tell me what you think. Bye-bye.